Olly, we're in a Gravel Union podcast talking to gravel lovers. I think you know the answer.
Hi everybody and welcome to Gravel Union Talks, a podcast series full of inspiring stories, news and events from the world of gravel. Each month we will be talking with guests who are passionate about riding off the beaten track, adventure riding, bikepacking and gravel racing. I'm your host Carlo, and behind the microphone in the UK is Olly Townsend. Olly, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How's things with you?
Well, it's getting less wet than it was, so trying to get out more. I was in Spain, by the way, for 1 week, so lovely weather.
We're not
there.
jealous at all.
No, you're not. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about gravel parenting. Perhaps not a topic that many of you have given thought to, but even if it doesn't seem relevant to you personally, you will undoubtedly have friends or relatives who it will apply to. 1 minute you're a carefree gravel lover, and then boom, a baby arrives in your life and all your previous habits and patterns of behavior go out of the window. We're going to be chatting with Carly and Erwin, who became parents just over a year ago. Didn't you, Carly and Erwin?
We did.
Yeah.
So both of them are very keen gravel riders, and we're going to be chatting on how to balance your life on two wheels with as a gravel parent. But before we head over to Carly and Erwin, Olly, what's the big news on gravelunion.cc?
Well, I thought for this episode we talk about inspiration, because there's kind of a link between each of the three stories. So the first one is going to be we just launched Gravel Union recommended events for 2024. What we try and do each year is find around 10 events that we want to showcase to our audience. We try and pick a different one for each month, so that's so that it goes across the year, but also different locations, different types of events, different requirements. So some of them appeal to people that want some competition, some are more social, some are festival based, some are family based. There's a real mix of things, and so we showcase these 10 events, try and give them a bit more exposure, introduce perhaps a new audience to the different events, and so hopefully it grows the number of people that take part, and it helps the event organizers. They get some extra bookings, but it also helps our readers to perhaps discover an event that they wouldn't have come across before, so maybe it inspires them to go somewhere new.
They're across the European continent and the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's a good mix. I try and pick from a wider range of countries as possible.
Okay. Well, check the event calendar out, and we're also going to give away tickets for several events.
Yeah, that's
year.
right. For each, what I'm going to do is put a story on the website for each of the different events, and you'll be able to win a free ticket to go and take part.
Okay. The biggest news item article on the website gravelunion.cc of the last month.
Two different ones this month. The first one is from The Gear, which is we don't do lots of focus on kit or technology, but we do occasionally run a story on it. And this is a second part of a story we ran last year. We have a German contributor called Timo, who's a really super keen gravel rider. And he gave us a story last year that he'd written about having a bike custom sprayed. And he works with a Spanish painter called S Colors, where Timo spends a lot of his time in the south coast of Spain, not far from where you've just been, Carlo.
Yeah.
And he's really inspired by the colours and the structure of the landscape. So he wanted to have a bike that kind of matched what the landscape looked like. So he had last year had one of his bikes resprayed, and now he's had a second bike sprayed by the same guy, and also these amazing forms and colors and structures in the paintwork. So it's all about how he had it done, why he had it done, what inspired him, and then some pictures of how it came out in the end. And it's a great looking bike.
It looks amazing with the US flag, and well, actually, it's like it's more of a piece of art.
Yeah,
and all the layers on it and all the different colors. So check it out. It's a great article.
If anybody is going to Grand Euro Germany in May, Timo is going to be there, and he's going to have that particular bike is allied with him, so you'll be able to see it in real life.
Oh, amazing! Didn't know that. We also have some video footage on the website, or link to video footage of Iron Gravel.
Yeah, exactly. Last month in the UK, I suppose like most of Northern Europe, was freezing and I was miserable. And I found a link to a video of Somewhere Sunny in Spain that was an after movie film from an Iron Gravel event. And it made me feel warm and inspired to get out and ride my bike, even when the weather was so grim here. So it's the kind of highlights of Iron Gravel. I think actually 2022 rather than last year's one, but it looks a really fantastic event, and it just captured everything that's good about going to an event in the summer when you're there with a group of friends. The riding's great, the trails look really fun, the scenery's beautiful, and it's sunny and lovely weather. So it was a bit of inspiration when the weather outside was miserable.
Yeah, it's well, sometimes you need a little inspiration to get out on the bike. It's been horrible the last period, but days are getting longer. So
yeah, it's noticeable, isn't it? Suddenly you get an extra 5-10 minutes each day.
The weather is also improving. We also have another date set already, Ollie, for a webinar. We're going to do a webinar together.
We are
for the
indeed.
Ride Gravel,
which would be really good.
Yeah, so
talking about because I got to take part in 2022 when the first one that ran. So it's talking about what it was like and giving some tips and some advice and some hopefully inspiring people to sign up to do it.
It's going to be fun, and we have a special Gravel Union discount deal.
Great.
So check it out on. There's a link in the newsletter and maybe also on the website to the webinar, or check out the website of the Ride Gravel. But I think it's time to head over to the main guests of today.
Great. Okay, so welcome to Carly and Erwin to the podcast, and thank you for coming on. It's early in the morning, and we know you've both got busy lives, but we thought it was such a good topic to talk about. What we normally do is we generally only have one guest on, and we get them to talk about themselves just to introduce them to our audience. But we thought, seeing as you two are a couple, we would do a test and see how well you know each other. So we're going to get you to introduce your partner rather than to introduce yourself. So we'll go ladies first. Carly, we're going to ask you to introduce Erwin and tell us a bit about him. So the first thing is, can you try and sum Erwin up in 3 words?
Yeah, let's see how well I know him. If he agrees on my 3 words. No, the first things that came to mind are enthusiastic, outgoing, and maybe a little bit weird, but in a good way.
Great, that seems pretty accurate.
Yeah?
I think so. Okay, so next one. What's his favourite type of coffee, or what does he drink in the morning to wake himself up, if he needs to?
Well, we just have like a basic Mocha Master filter coffee machine. But if he's going to a cafe or something, then obviously he's the hipster type that orders a flat white.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect gravel coffee.
Yeah.
And then finally, what's his most annoying habit?
Well, I mean, it would be too easy to say that he talks a lot, so I'm not going to say that. No, he's worthless in the kitchen.
Oh.
I would be so happy that if he would be a good cook or anything, but he's a nightmare. It's not a good idea to put him in a kitchen and ask him to cook something. So I would say that's the my least favorite part about him.
Okay, something to work on there, Erwin, for future reference.
All of what you just said is true.
Great, well that's good. Okay, so Carly's passed the test, at least she knows you well enough. So Erwin, we're going to do the same for you. Could you try and sum Carly up in 3 words?
Yeah, sure. I mean, above all, she's a caring person, which you also see with Nora now, but also she's with every person. She's kind, and also definitely she's a bit quirky at times. In a really lovable way.
Weird and quirky. That fits.
It sounds like a good match so far.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know both of you are keen gravel riders, but what do you think is Carly's least favourite part of gravel riding?
Yeah, that's actually an easy one. It's not the gravel riding per se, which I know she loves. But the thing with gravel riding is that it's off road. Your bike gets to it tends to get dirty. So cleaning the bike afterwards is definitely Carly's nightmare.
Is that
Okay.
your chore then afterwards, or?
Well, we fight about it, but yeah, 9 out of 10 times it is.
Every year Erwin asks me what I want for my birthday, and every year I say to him, I want you to clean my bike 10 times in the coming year, but he never gives that present to me.
It seems like a fair swap, though, Erwin. If Carly's doing all the cooking, I think it's the least you can do is do all the bike washing.
Thank you, Ollie.
I
Fair
think
deal.
you got to share the labour.
I think you're right.
Okay, and then finally, if Carly could only have one piece of music, if she was stuck on a desert island, what do you think her one piece of music would be?
Well, that's kind of hard because I don't think Carly really has favorite type of music, except maybe Swedish music.
Swedish?
Because, yeah, Carly has a love for the country of Sweden. And she actually talks Swedish as well, which is part of her job as a translator as well. So yeah, sometimes when I enter the room and she's in control of the radio, I walk in on weird Swedish songs that she's dancing and singing to. So I guess that's
What
that's
kind
my
of?
answer there.
Is it traditional Swedish music or modern?
Well, like ABBA, that kind of traditional
ABBA, yeah.
Swedish music.
Yeah, not really ABBA, but like Swedish, just regular Swedish music that most Swedes will know.
They have a tremendous professional pop scene, I know. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of music coming out of the beautiful country of Sweden. But our Swedish is not that great. How is your Swedish, Ollie? I know your Dutch is getting
pretty
better
poor.
and better. Is it poor?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Oh, I can shake hands there.
Well, it's good. I think Carly and Erwin passed the test. They obviously know each other pretty well, so that's which is a good sign.
But this is since we have a couple on our show, we should ask, how did you two meet?
I can take the lead there. We actually met.
You better match
at-
up the stories here.
Well,
Yes.
it's actually quite easy to tell because we met at work,
Oh.
which is cycling related and actually Swedish translating related because we met at Mantel, which is a big retailer in the Netherlands, where I worked as a photographer back in the day. And then when the website went international, they were looking for translators. And Carly joined the team as the Swedish translator. That's how we met.
Carly, how come yours? Where does the Swedish background come from? Do you have family from there?
No, that's always the first question that I get. But I have an interest for languages, and I really like the Swedish culture. We always used to go there on holidays. I like that there's a lot of nature, which we don't have that much in the Netherlands. And I think the people are just really friendly and easygoing and not too
They are.
loud, which I
Yeah.
like.
Not that
Great.
I like the Swedes as well. They're not being too loud, Erwin, and I would count myself also in the loud. So yeah, I'm with Dutch. Yeah, it adds up. It adds up. So yeah, well, nice to have. So we can also reach out to the Swedish audience here. So maybe you could say a few words in Swedish to our Swedish listeners.
Oh, no, please no.
I'll put you on the spot there.
Can we continue in English?
We'll do that.
Okay, so you two met at work, but now what about cycling? How did you first get into cycling, and then how did you get into gravel riding from wherever you started, or did you start in gravel riding straight away? Carly, you go first. How did you first get into cycling?
Well, I think for me it started with Erwin actually, because he was already a cyclist, and I was interested in the sports because obviously I met a lot of cyclists working at the bike shop. But I think cycling is a difficult sport to start with because you need a lot of stuff. You need a bike, you need clothes, you need shoes, a helmet. So it's not like you're going to try it once and then see if you like it. But because Erwin was already cycling, it was really easy for me to try it a few times. I could loan a bike from a friend. He had some gear for me. and I immediately liked it a lot. So in the first few years was mainly road cycling, and then I tried some mountain biking. But with road cycling, I felt it was a little bit too, I don't know, the roads in the Netherlands are quite busy with cars and traffic. So that part of road cycling I didn't really like. And then mountain biking, I think it's a little bit too technical for me. I don't like heights and like steep hills and climbs and stuff like that. So gravel riding for me was like the perfect sort of middle way between road cycling and mountain biking.
Great.
So that's where I ended up.
How about you?
Yeah, my story is different. I come from a family of cyclists. And like my grandparents rode bikes, my parents rode bikes, and I actually for a long time didn't want to have to do anything with bikes, so I went the classic way, doing football. I think I did a little bit of judo in between. I did, I don't know, a lot of things. And then in my student years, I actually got into cycling, which was road cycling at first, indeed. And then when I moved to Arnhem, where we live, it's close to a big forest. I went more and more off-road. So I followed cycling routes that may have a little gravel in them. And back then there were no gravel bikes yet, but I started going more and more riding in places where a road bike shouldn't go. So I think it was always a part of what I think I'm as a person as well. Of course, I've joined cycling groups, like clubs, local clubs, and you do the Wednesday night fixed route, and that's fun for a while. But after a while, that also gets a little bit boring. So I was on the lookout for new places, and when the gravel bike first launched, it was the perfect match straight away. So yeah, I guess that's where the love of gravel cycling started for me. It was already in my DNA.
You were actually one of the front runners in the Netherlands, I think. You were
it's a weird discussion because you'll get some angry 60-year-olds that rode mountain bikes in the 60s.
I've been doing it since 1970.
But yeah, I guess modern gravel talk, I am definitely one of the early adapters of gravel bikes in the Netherlands, yeah.
What kind of bikes do you two have in your combined collection? Presumably you have a mixture. If you're typically Dutch, you're bound to have a pub bike or a city bike or whatever. But do you have a range of bikes to choose from?
Yeah, definitely. I think, Carly, your list is the shortest.
Yeah, I'm a very modest person. So I have a city bike and I have a gravel bike. And usually in my gravel bike, I have a spare set of wheels, but I don't know, Erwin, if I still have them because you tend to mix things up and then take my spare parts.
You sell them on eBay when you're not watching.
Yeah, to buy a new bike or something. And then obviously I have a mommy bike. So a bike to take Nora to daycare.
Great.
Yeah. My list is a little bit longer. I have a road racer. I have a gravel bike. I actually have another gravel bike, if you will, which is more or less more an adventure bike, which is kind of like a mixture between a gravel bike and a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Which I used in the Atlas Mountain Race, amongst others. I have a mountain bike, a full suspension one. I also have I have another gravel bike, sorry. A steel one. And then of course I have my city bikes, which actually are two bikes. So I have this old 26-inch mountain bike that I tried to run through the city, but it has a flat tire. And instead of fixing it, I actually got this old touring bike out of.
Just buy a new bike rather than mend the puncture.
No, it's actually an old touring bike that I used to ride to Rome with. I used it like for classic bikepacking, panniers on the sides.
Yeah.
And I had it lying around in parts, and I fixed it, and I now use it as my urban cruiser, if you will.
So you rent a warehouse somewhere to store your bikes, or?
No, we have a little shed, and we have a garden in the back and the front of our house, which is quite convenient. But I must...
The
Oh,
shed
yeah.
used to be quite neat, but now you can't really enter anymore. It's just stuffed with bikes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's true.
I'll find another bike here. So you have like altogether 12 bikes.
Well, and I
Something
must
like
say
that.
that
And then-
it's not even complete yet because we are actually getting ourselves, which is kind of like a combined bike.
What a
We're
tandem.
getting one of those long tail e-bikes, cargo e-bikes. But that's more of like like, have a car, but we try to not use it as much. So,
Great.
so for any convenient Nora carrying stuff around we're gonna get it. I'm gonna pick it up later today, actually.
Oh.
So
Brilliant.
yeah.
Cool.
And plus one,
Yeah.
Always.
one.
Always
And then
plus
how many
one.
bikes does Nora have? Or she's slightly too small to have a bike at the minute, but
No, she has a bike.
she has a bike. Of course.
I think we got it before she was born, even, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah. So she has a balance bike, which is, funnily enough, a Cannondale balance bike, which means it is a wink to the lefties that they have. So they have.
Brilliant. A posh
So it has a-
balance bike.
Yeah. It's not a suspension lefty, of course. It's a wink, so it's just an aluminium lefty. But it's still a balance bike, and it's been sitting around for over a year already, and it's probably still another year before she can still ride
Okay,
it. But
that was going to be my question. I'm afraid I don't.
Yeah.
Not being a parent, I don't know how old kids have to be before they can balance on them, but a little while
I,
yet.
I have no idea either, but I tried it the other day, but she's still too short.
Okay,
I'm just gonna keep on trying it every
yeah,
few weeks to see if she
can be a
already
test.
fits.
Has she grown? Has she
Yeah.
grown yet?
Yeah.
She
And then you
still
have
needs
it-
to learn to walk as well. And it would
Okay.
be fun to say like you rode your bike before you
Before you
walked.
could
I don't
walk,
know if
yeah.
that's a thing, but
Crawl,
I think
walk, run
maybe
should
to
be
learn.
crawl, bike, walk, run.
yeah, something like that.
Prioritize. You have a bike trailer as well, don't you? We've seen some amazing pictures. You have a suspension bike trailer as well, a posh one.
Yeah, it's because of course we're both into gravel riding, but it's always been I'm gonna say the adventurous side of gravel riding. I think in the Netherlands, if you only stick to roads and like genuine gravel roads, like the crispy ones, you don't have a lot of choice. So it's mostly hardback forest roads, double jeep track lanes, and yeah, I mean also just like forest tracks, some roots in them, and I think if you take an ordinary, like a normal 2-wheel kiddie trailer over them, that will bounce the kid up and down too much. So yeah, we got a suspension 1-wheel. It's actually the one in the Danny McCaskill video that you see. I don't know if people know that one, but it's we don't do that. But I mean, yeah, we
You
got
haven't learned to
for a
backflip
smooth
it yet?
ride. No, we haven't. Yeah, we're practicing still.
Okay, now we've kind of got ahead of ourselves a little bit because we're already talking about Nora, and we were going to talk to you about your life pre-Nora beforehand. So we'll skip around a bit in time. So imagine that you go back 18 months. What would a typical weekend look like for you two before you were parents?
I think we would go cycling at least one of the days, and that could either be like a short loop, just in our backyard here at the Veluwe, or Erwin has some crazy idea to follow the IJssel River, or he always has these ideas of routes that he wants to cycle, so we could just pick one of them and go cycling together for a whole day or a half a day, or
Yeah, or an
Not-
event. There's a lot of events as well.
Yeah.
We frequently visited them as well. So I mean, you have your hands free, right? You're just the two of you, so you can basically do whatever you
sleep
want.
in, wake up late, think
All
about
the
what
good
you want to
things.
do that day, no planning.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Nora arrived November 2022, which presumably was quite a shift in how you had to do everything. What's the biggest things do you think that have changed in the however many months that is, 14, 15 months since she's been around? How has it changed you as gravel riders or as cyclists in general?
Well, everything changed, obviously. It feels weird talking about something that is actually so common as the becoming a parent. I think, of course, a lot of people are parents, and I think every time you talk to a parent, you feel like you're kicking in open doors talking about this stuff.
Okay.
But for anyone not being a parent, this is it's total unknown world. You can try to prepare yourself for it, but it's, I mean, in the end, nothing really prepares you for the real deal, I think. I think at the core of it all, I think it goes back to how our relationship is. And when we met up, I'm gonna say 6-7 years ago, we liked each other for who we were as, unique persons. And we always had the little arrangement between the two of us that we always, sometimes you see couples change if they get together. And we always try to not do that, to be ourselves, and guard that as well. So, I mean, it's not uncommon that Carly would kick me out the door if she sees that I'm like just sitting on the couch and be busy, whatever. And she's like, "Come on, guy, get out the door. You need to ride your bike. I can see it in your eyes." And
Great.
she'll do that. She won't try to stick me to the house or anything. And that's always how we've done things. And I think at the core of it all, that's what we've been trying to do with Nora as well. Try to really remember, okay, there's this life-changing thing happening. There's this extra person in our life that's going to take up a lot of our time and energy. But try to still stick to who we are as people, what makes us us, and then try to, not only preserve that for our own well-being, but also to give Nora a taste of what we think life is like in a nice way.
Did you, before you, or when you were about to become parent, did you have advice given to you from friends of yours who were also parents and also gravel riders? And what was the most useful thing that you heard as a piece of advice?
I don't think we really got advice from people, but it was more that before we became parents, there were like a few people around us, not really necessarily like close friends, but just a few good examples that we had of people with kids that were still doing their thing, living their lives, not like changing, but still riding their bikes, taking their kids with them. And I think that was more, so it wasn't as much as advice, it's more like good examples that we could see, your life is not, you don't have to change everything if you have kids. You can still be yourself and do the things that you like.
Yeah, okay. I think that's always been my biggest fear, and why I, for a long time, didn't want to have a kid. I feel it, looking back, it wasn't about the kid per se. I mean, I'm happy with Nora, to be honest, in our lives, and I think I would have always been, but not at the cost of, losing my own life. And I think that's a fear that a lot of us carry before we get into parenting, is, losing yourself or losing whatever it is that you like in life, which is, for me, cycling is a big part of it, which, takes time and energy and may be hard to combine with having a kid at home. And I think for a long time that made me postpone as well. And indeed, like Carly says, there's a couple of these friends around that we kind of like see online that kind of give a less classic image of being a parent, not like drowning in that world and have it be only about the kid, but also see a side of parenting where, they go out and ride the bikes with their kids, or, go to a pump track or something, or, any ride with the trailer. Indeed, we mentioned the trailer. And that really made me open up to having a kid, to be honest.
And what are the biggest challenges? Because you wanted to continue with your lives. There's a new person in your life. What are the biggest challenges when having a kid?
Sleep.
Yeah.
A practical one.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know. I think you said it, Olly. Thank you for being here this early this morning, but we were up at 6 this morning, so it's not.
Okay, it's actually not that early.
Yeah, no, not for us. No, but sleep is a big thing. Because if you're low on energy, then you don't really feel like going out there, even though it's actually good for you. And then also planning. You can't just think, oh, I want to ride my bike, I'm going to go out now. You have to sort of, we have to discuss it with each other. Do you have any plans this weekend? What do you want to do? Or maybe see if Nora can stay with a grandparent, but you can't just do things spontaneous anymore. Or, less.
No,
No, you have to plan
I
everything.
think it's true, yeah.
But you do get on the bike, out on the bike together still? Because you mentioned, well, maybe you can have a grandparent.
Less. Yeah, way less. I mean, let's face it. Just like Carly says, it's the spontaneous. I mean, who doesn't like to be spontaneous? And we definitely were. And I think we did lose that in a way with Nora. I think everyone does with kids. You cannot just go out and about anymore. You plan much more in life, especially when it comes to things like cycling. I can go out and ride my bike all Saturday, for instance, but it does mean that Carly is, hands full with the kid, and that does mean that she doesn't have her own time to do her things, or at least less, and the other way around. And especially, indeed, having both our hands free means that indeed we need grandparents or anyone to babysit Nora, for instance, which is, especially the first year was more, and I mean, it's a little baby. They're much more relying on you as parents. So I think that was more of an exception riding together than a rule, unfortunately. But we are optimistic that, looking forward, that we can change that up a little bit. She's growing up, she's getting more used to being at grandparents, at their place, and that.
And
opens
also
up
with
as well.
with the car now, or the all-terrain, the trailer.
Yeah, definitely the trailer. Yeah.
Does she enjoy that, being in the trailer? Is she quiet or asleep?
She likes
maybe?
it. We did a test run before we actually bought one, because it's quite a big investment. And what if you buy it and she doesn't like it and she only screams when she's in it?
Yeah.
But we did a little test run in the forest, and she was giggling all the time and just babbling and looking at stuff. And then after a while she fell asleep. So that was like a perfect little test run.
Yeah.
That sounds ideal.
Yeah. And since then we've cycled twice with our own trailer, and she still liked it every time. So it was a big success. So we're very happy.
Great.
Yeah,
Have you tried
definitely.
you've done off-road kind of trails as well as on bike paths or whatever?
Yeah, we went to this around her first birthday. We went to Ameland, which is one of the islands north of in the north side of the Netherlands, and it's known for its hardpack gravel cycling tracks. I mean, those are smooth, so that's no problem anyway. But then also some patches of forest that we rode into, bumping and roots and everything. And it wasn't like we did that for many kilometers, but she was sleeping, and she kept sleeping while we were like bumping her around in that forest. And I think the suspension there helps a lot, of course, because it turns it into a smooth ride rather than a rocky one. But yeah, I mean, that's it's been too cold, unfortunately. December, January was so cold, and they tend to get really cold because they're not moving in the trailer. So, so we're kind of waiting for it. It's
spring.
You mentioned it in the intro, right? I mean, spring. I can already smell spring, and that opens up opportunities to do more of those rides, and also be more spontaneous again, which I'm really looking forward to.
Do you still manage to kind of balance? How do you balance? I guess make it a question instead. Family riding versus you both getting some individual time on the bike. Do you still manage that? Do you sneak out for a night ride or something instead, so you get a few hours of doing something that you want rather than that you need to do as a family, or do you make it all family time?
Nah, to be honest, I think I ride at the first year that Nora is around. I've been riding the most, and then that still added up to the worst cycling year since I started cycling. I
Okay.
think that's you need to be realistic if you're getting into parenting. The first year is just life changing and costs you a lot of time and energy. And as well, the energy part is quite important because even if you have your hands free, it doesn't always mean that you're into riding your bike. I'm lucky enough that like we mentioned earlier, we really try to balance life and also our personal selves with each other. So Carly's also really protective that I can still ride my bike even though Nora's around. So I really can't complain about this first year. I had this really cool work trip to Girona, for instance, where I rode my bike. I went bikepacking back in May in Andalusia in the south of Spain. That was actually with pretty cool with the new GRX group pre-launch. So I got to test that one for Shimano, which was pretty cool. And then we did a family holiday in the summer, which was again all about the family time. But by that time, I rode my bike way less. I think I did 2 rides, and Carly, you just went on runs, right?
Yeah.
And then in September, I kind of fixed that by going to ride the 3 Peak cyclocross in Yorkshire in the UK and bikepack my way there from the ferry. But I mean, that doesn't mean that Carly's like at home all the time, because that kind of sounds like I'm out having fun.
Yeah, so I'm out having fun. Carly's stuck at home doing all the drudge.
Yeah, it's not like that, luckily.
No, but for me, I've been cycling much less since Nora's there, and that's not because there's no time and Erwin is away all the time, but more because I don't really enjoy cycling on my own that much. For me, cycling is also about social, doing it with friends. And by the time Nora arrived, one of my best friends moved to the US, so that's sort of unfortunate. But I think I'll be riding more when the weather is better and we can take Nora with us with the trailer, and then we can do family rides. So I've been doing sports, but mostly running lately, because that's just easier and I don't mind doing that on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as Nora grows up, once she gets to the point she can ride a bike herself, then you'll be able to do rides together more easily, won't you, as well?
I was
definitely.
I was wondering, Erwin, you did some. You're known for your bikepacking adventures. Does when you're on the road bikepacking, has that changed? Are you in the moment or thinking how are things going at home, or do you feel guilty that you're not there? What's the feeling that you have when you're on the bike?
That's a really good question. To be honest, especially the first trips that I did, so Girona and Andalusia, I was definitely feeling guilty, because you know how hard it can be. It's not like it's always hard, but I mean, if Nora doesn't sleep or she sleeps badly, that ruins your whole day, energy wise. So knowing that you're out and about having fun for 2 weeks in Spain is really cool, but you also know that in this case Carly's at home taking care of Nora, and that's not always easy. In the beginning I definitely felt guilty. I can shut it off. I mean, it's really easy if you're in an amazing landscape riding your gravel bike. If you're climbing an amazing mountain and then descending it, we all know how that feels like. It's really easy to get lost in that moment. But there wasn't a day gone by that I didn't think of Carly or felt guilty about it. And I must say that the guilt definitely became less. I don't think guilt is a good word anymore. We both feel that we're on top of it. We're both from inexperienced people that suddenly had a baby. We became parents. I really feel that we are true parents now. And also, you go from really practical stuff like, oh, we're living from diaper to diaper and sleep to sleep. Now you're just living with Nora, and it's fun. You get to do activities with her. She's turning into this little person that has humor. So also like staying at home with her, for instance, because we mentioned trips that I did, but Carly went in the last part of last year in 23. She went, for instance, on a week surf trip in Morocco, which is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
And I got to stay home with Nora, for instance, and I really loved that week. It's so much fun to just like do stuff with her. And it's not cycling related yet, but I mean that's all rapidly changing, and makes it really positive, I think.
Yeah, and I think because now you only talked about feeling guilty when you left, but it's also like bikes were always your big love, big hobby in life. But Nora has become like a second big hobby. So it's not only before Nora, when you were going away on trips, I always asked you, "Are you looking forward to it?" And you were always like, "Yeah, definitely." And you didn't want to come home. You stayed away for 3 weeks, and now it's also you just miss Nora, right? So. Yeah, when you leave, it's true. Like a double feeling. You look forward to the trip, but you also you know you're gonna miss her once you step out the door. So
I must. That's true indeed. If I like for a week or something, that's fine. But if I'm into a second week, you just start to miss that little person. I mean, I miss Carly as well, of course. But like, there's something.
That's okay.
Less. No, I mean, there's something special with having a kid, and I think this is where I think every parent listening will be like, yeah, this is been there, done that. We all know what he's talking about, and I really think it's hard to like properly, genuinely feel what this is like if you're not a parent yet. I tried to understand it beforehand, and I thought I did, but being a parent, getting to really love that little kid, I mean, that's something that is really hard to describe. You can only feel that. So yeah, that's definitely something that it will always bring me home.
You did a great article on being a gravel dad, which is on gravelunion.cc, and you just mentioned it's difficult, but for people who are on the brink of becoming parents, would you two have like tips how to prepare? Carly?
Yeah.
Well, I think what we mentioned before is that before we got Nora, we said that we wanted to stay ourselves as much as we could. And obviously you can't really, you never know what kind of kid you'll have and if it's possible. But I think we keep reminding ourselves that we wanted to, that we want to stay ourselves, that we want to have our own time, that we want to keep on doing the things that we did before Nora. And that really helps us to make life enjoyable for all of us.
Yeah, I think indeed, and bring her into our lives rather than drowning in some classic parenting world where it's only diapers and kiddie music or something. I mean, we play, I don't know, if you step into our living room, we play jazz or something. We'll go to a gravel event together and bring the little one, or looking forward, maybe letting her stay for a weekend at the grandparents and just do what we always did. I think that's and to basically this has to be, of course, also it depends on how your relationship is, but like Carly said, we've always been sending each other out the door, basically, going on adventures together, but also apart from each other, and I think that also re-energizes you, especially when you have a kid at home. Being out and about in nature is a great way to recharge. And then also to miss the people you love back home. And then, if you come back, you're all re-energized. And I think that's our way of having a great relationship, all of us together, still being happy out riding our bikes. So, yeah, I mean, that would definitely be my big advice to anyone. Like, try to, stick to yourself, be true to yourself.
Yeah, so even though it's a life-changing experience, try to not let it change your life that much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or something like that.
Sounds like a good advice.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
So have you two got plans, or have you three got plans for this summer? Are you going to do a family trip together that have bikes involved with it, or have you not thought that far ahead yet?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, not some practical plans, some not so practical yet. I think, well, for instance, next month I have a great opportunity of going to the Canaries, where I'm going to go on a week-long gravel trip. This is like a travel, so that doesn't involve Carly or Nora, but then the trip ends up on Tenerife, and Carly, Nora, and her grandparents will join us on Tenerife, or join me, I must say, and we'll have another week with the family, which might be as well, which might as well involve a nice bike ride for me and Carly. You know, but Carly can rent a bike. I already have mine there. We already have grandparents that can watch Nora, but it's also a really nice week with the family. But I mean, even more low key, just around the corner, like you mentioned, we now have a bike trailer for the kid. We have another bike trailer, more like a cargo trailer, coming in May, which is one of these new ones. I think it's a Veolo, which is like I said, like a cargo trailer more or less, which means that we can carry much more stuff when we go bikepacking, like a proper tent and any of the kiddie stuff that you need for Nora, and basically just, you know, spontaneously and planned go out and about in the Veluwe, or I don't know, anything that comes to mind, and have some bikepacking trips as a family.
That sounds very fun.
Yeah, it does.
You can get now, for a cargo bike, you can get a powered trailer. So if it gets to the point where you have more children or you have more stuff, you can take a trailer with everything you own pretty much behind your bike, no problem at all.
Yeah, it's good training.
It's good. I was going to say, it'd be good for your fitness. Right, what's next on our list of exciting questions, Carlo?
I was just going over the list, and I was thinking, well, I think we touched upon everything that we wanted to ask. But so, is it time for our famous last question?
Famous last question, I think it is. What we ask everybody: if they could only have one bike, what would it be and why? So for you two, we will do the same thing. Carly, if you could only have one, what would you choose? And it doesn't need to be a specific type or model or whatever, but what type of bike would you have?
I think for me personally, a gravel bike is the perfect bike, because preferably one with a bit of space for big tires, because then you can just do everything. I ride my gravel bike on roads, in forests, on mountain bike trails, if they're not too difficult. I think for me, it's the perfect all-round bike, and I can do everything with it that I want.
Great.
Yeah.
Erwin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Olly, we're in a Gravel Union podcast talking to gravel lovers. I think you know the answer.
You're going to say a shopping bike. Or...
So an enduro downhill mountain bike would be my... Yeah, no, I mean, definitely the gravel bike. It has been for many years. And I think it will be for many years. We mentioned the big list of bikes all around our house, but I'm ashamed to own some of those because they barely get touched. It's gravel bike before and gravel bike after. That's my bike.
I'm sure that's the correct answer, isn't it, Carlo?
Yes, it is. So and indeed, we're on a Gravel Union podcast here, so that's the perfect.
If we ever start doing a BMX podcast or a rally chopper podcast, then we'll ask you a different question.
Yes, we sure we do.
But it's good you didn't pick up the cargo bike yet, because maybe then your answer would have changed.
Yeah, you'll get hooked.
Well, thank you very much, Carly and Erwin, for being on our podcast. I think it's time to head over to the outro. Well, thank you very much for joining us on this month's edition of Gravel Union Talks. If you have any suggestions or guests or topics you would like us to feature, please send us a note, info@gravelunion.cc, by email or Instagram or Facebook, and we will do our best to fit it into our schedule. Please like and star us on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure to leave your hopefully positive remarks. Don't forget, if you like what you've heard in this episode, there's loads more great stories, features, news pieces and all the latest gravel event information over at the gravelunion.cc website. Special thanks for Martijn for our music, our jingles, and Ruben for editing the show. And thank you all for listening in, and hope to see you next time in our next episode of Gravel Union Talks. Cheers!